Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm your host, Stephen Topham at the third at your service. We're going to be talking about this seriously because I know you're coming to terms with the with realizing what was happening behind closed doors, as you like to call it correctly, and understand the logic. A lot of people and the community, Thomas community, all of it, all around the globe will understand you cannot rig a system, right? I For the last three podcasts, I tried to explain to you what is the best way to go forward, right? A lot of people will completely ignore me because they think I'm being, you know, what the hell I'm doing, right? Exactly. You have to look at these little tiny little pieces coming forward, and they're helping you, not the other way round. Now work it out. You've got that perspective of everything that's unfolding in you, right? A lot of you who live in Scotland, Wales, and England and Ireland at the same time, and the Isle of Man, of course, you lot all have to think, right? Everybody has to come to terms with the rigging situation, right? I get that, right? You want to ask questions, you want answers, you want something forward. You know it's happening, you know it's unfolding, you know it's happening in front of your eyes. It happens in the United States as well, it happens in Australia, it happens everywhere, right? A lot of you probably feel gutted, right? Feel like you've done something wrong when you haven't, right? A lot of you businesses out there, even businesses that are trying to do this respectfully, not the other way round. But you have to be honest, right? When a lot of people are dishonest with you, that's where they try to say there are a lot of things in a lot of the way you think, the way you operate, the way you do things, and everything else. You're ending up saying he's right, he's right, he's right. We can't argue with that or debate. You've got to look at it realistically. Right, you can't rig the polls. Let's take the election as an example, right? You can't rig it. If once they've given you, they've done a barrier, a safeguard barrier. Why is that? Now, I'm going to give you a choice, right? This is a big, big upfront motion, right? Right, like an election, as anything else, you got Conservatives, Labour, and Liberal Democrats, and then you got the other lot, right? Which is true. But what they will do now, they're gonna sit down, they're probably gonna have a cup of tea, coffee, even yourselves are gonna have that too, and you're gonna hear me out because you're gonna realise you've been feeling like you've been cheated, you've been lied, you've been deceived by certain a lot of people, and then people just want the reward every time. I said the reward, it doesn't matter because the reward or award is the same thing, right? You have to be realistic, right? Right? I even spoken to Dr. Hatt this morning, my own flesh and blood mother, right? You're gonna wake up and smell that damn coffee, right? It doesn't matter what is going to accomplish this. What it's doing is making you self-aware, right? When the rigging system is put in place, right? A lot of people do not worry about the past tense stuff. Not all the time, right? You have to move forward somehow. You're not going to go forward with the past baggage behind you. Like I explained in my last three podcasts, I told you the North Norfolk Railway and any attraction or any place knows from right from wrong, but the North Norfolk Railway doesn't care, right? They're going to put you in a sticky situation all the time. Coming to terms with their rigging system does not help, right? You have to be honest every year, right? Then let me give you an example. A poster of TripAdvisor, for example, would say, "Oh, right, the best attraction of the year, 2024." Where's the rest of 2024? This is where the screw up is. So what do? They backtrack a bit. Wrong. This is where you falsified it. Why? Because then you're realizing you're backtracking just a bit, right? You have to wait until the end of 2024 before you can say you can have that reward. No offense, but that actually makes sense, right? You do it year by year, like I stated in my last podcast, and you're gonna come to terms and realize even even taxi drivers know about this. The Thomas the Tank community knows about this. Everybody knows about it, right? To a point, right? People on the internet, even on the community side of it, right? The TripAdvisor, Google, and Facebook, they all been okay to a point, right? You're gonna have to realize where is this extra reviews coming from, right? You're gonna have to ask yourself a question here, right? You're gonna ask that verified question, which it tells you specifically right from wrong, right? When people say, "Oh, they got a award for 2024," what does that count? Nothing. Why? Too early. So where do they do it? They rig the bit. They rig a bit of that. They rig about that. Right? In the day, you're gonna end up losing because the community will end up saying, "We don't want to go to you," or "We don't want to go drink there," or "We don't want to eat there," or "Get a transport with you guys," or whatever. Then the big cheese. Right? The biggest part of the cheese of all of this is ratings. Right? We all knew ratings will also be your downfall because you're lying through your teeth because you can't work out from right from wrong. You don't know if you had a good year, bad year, whatever. Are you doing this from September to July, like the school year will do? Or would you just bloody do it any time of year, right? Right, every day. You're going to end up saying, "How does he know all of this?" I said, "I know every move you made, even the stupid ones." Right? You're going to be waking up and realizing, "What the hell?" Well, if you look at yourselves, right, I have Duck on board at Muckaborough, right? Why? Duck knows from honesty, right? So do I. That's two. Why? You got to work out in your mind, where did you go wrong? Where did you actually slip up? You have to work out. I'm not always going to be able to give you all the answers you need because I've got my own personal life and working life to deal with. Right? You have to be realistically to understand there's the principles of being honest. If the North Norfolk Railway is not honest, right, not being honest, then you've got the screw up, right? A lot of people up there don't give a damn shit because they work in night times to get round me. And I said they cannot. There's too much evidence, proof under their carpets. Right? So they can't do nothing because I'm in charge. They can't get around me because I'm their boss. Right? You gotta get real. Right? Coming to terms of knowing the opposite way of knowing is good for me, obviously. But for you guys, you're gonna have to look at realistic about TripAdvisor, Google reviews, and Facebook reviews. And don't if TripAdvisor did the did what I was explaining about it, narrowing it down, recapping about everything that I said to you that TripAdvisor lied. Right? They may have past tense issues, which is stated pretty true, but they've been dishonest with you because they didn't calculate it on the year. Right? The year is so important, right? We all know that if you're in 2024, you stick with it. If it's 2025, you stick with it. Why? You do not use past tense years like 2023 or 2022 or 2021 or below that or anything because it's all on lockdown. Why? Because you can't use that. It's like saying You want to win this or you want to reward this because for best attraction of the year? I said it can happen with anything, right? You have to be realistic, right? So you got all of this problem in the air. In the air, it adds up, right? When people know this is all true, right? But people are too afraid to be honest, right? They don't want a dishonest attraction or dishonest place. You have to be honest on the spot. You can't rig or go that direction because if you start rigging, you might end up getting being that dishonesty in that place, right? You're gonna get dishonest somewhere down the line. I am trying my utmost to get you to understand right from wrong on this. Right? It can happen coming to terms with everything. Right? You have to put yourselves in that alignment because you have to realize why. Why did this place got so much baggage that they don't even realise they're using that as a cover up. Right? You want to be honest with the public? Do you really want to be honest with the public? Now, I'm asking a lot of places around the UK and the world and the globe why. Because if you're not always honest, then don't say we will work it out sooner or later because we know if you're rigging the system. Right, the rigging part is where the whole thing should be looked into. Right? You lot have to start thinking fresh. Right? Every day when you got false rewards or awards, if you like to call it correctly, you're going to end up losing because you've been dishonest. Right? There's so much baggage that the North Norfolk Railway won't give a damn. Right? Any attraction, any any person will be honest with me because they have to be. Right? You have to be honest with yourself because of the if the whole let's say the reviews are too out of date. What are you gonna do with out of date reviews? You can't use them. You can't. You just can't. It's like rigging the system, it's like going to the voice, singing your hearts out, and you're actually earning it. Right? You're respecting it. Right? I was saying, I'm going to make this quite clear and crystal. I said, have you heard of the song You Don't Really Want to Hurt Me by the Culture Club, or Boy George, as we call him? Right? He said he had 36 hits around the globe and managed to get a number one on the spot. Why? Because he was honest. He wasn't dishonest, he was completely damn honest. Right? I'm telling you. Right? I know people from people, right? I know connections within connections, right? But there are a few people in your life that you will find out they've been completely dishonest with you. Right? You're gonna work out the honesty at some point. Right? You're gonna work out, okay, I should have been honest. Right? Well, sometimes people slip up, right? They really do big slip ups, right? And you're ending up with all of this problem in the air and you don't know where you're coming or going, right? You're going to start realizing you're coming to terms with everything that's unfolded just recently and everything else. The North Norfolk Railway will end up screwed because they're ending up got too much baggage in the air and they just can't do nothing because they're ending up saying, right, you know, if they can't take the heat, get off my premises, North Norfolk Railway, because it's my premises you're on. Right? Regardless, it's showing in all prime eyesight. You, you know, it's like saying, look, if you want an honest attraction this year, right, you have to look at the recent or most newest reviews of this year. Not last year, this year. Why? Because it makes a complete honesty on everything. Right? If it if there was attraction that was completely honest, right? that deserve that award, not the North Norfolk Railway. Let's take another attraction, right? One of the top ones, right? You have to work in miracles to do this. You can't just go in and say, oh, this is a good place, bang. It has to be on the year and the day, right? When it goes to next year, that's it. That becomes invalid. They can't be used. Why? It's like point scoring behind people's backs, or rigging, or getting the guy. It's like let me give you some examples of scenarios that you can do. You can do this while you're in school, college, or at work. Even that, right? Right, I'll tell you how people can rig the system. Right? In schools, you have to be away from the bloody people, from other people, so you don't cheat. Right? That's like a rigging system. Now, if I try to rig this up, I tell you now, if you rig that system, you're out. You're disqualified from the examination. Right? That's another examination point. Right? Strike one. Number two, a business can be honest, but they have to check the reviews all the time. If they're not, then there's going to be problems. Yeah. Right? Strike three, don't put a business into, like, don't, if you've got a heritage railway line, for example, you do not turn it into a business because it won't work. Right? So there's another rigging system there. But you have to be honest with everything you see in front of you. If people can't see it, then they're blind as a bat, or they can't tell the difference between right from wrong. I said, look, how many people are going to come into terms and realise they've got this little problem? Right? It's not my problem. It's down to you and all the rest of the people. You try to be honest, but you want to be honest with the with the way it was set up. You can't just rig, and it builds up, and then you end up with a lot of shit in the end. Excuse my language, but it is right. When I know about this, right, I said to my private connection last night. I said the North Norfolk Railway is up last night, right? He knew it, I knew it, but he also said, "You know something, right?" I said, "Yes, I do. I know what they're up to." Right? So it's like I say, I know people from knowing people. It's not about the respect I'm gaining back because my reputation is bigger than what the money's worth that they got. Right? When they realise what is going on up there, right, all the employers and the employees, right, or the employees mostly, they don't know what is right from wrong until it actually hits them. Right? Bang, bang, bang. Right? Right? A lot of people that worked there worked before them, right? They've got this one big scenario, like making a big hoo-ha over one silly mistake. Biggest mistake in their lives that could have, right? If they were honest and being a little bit more respectful and a little bit honesty on top, they would have gained something, but it would not be from 2023 to 2024 because it won't work. Why? Let me put this in another way in perspective. I know a lot of people haven't got the time or the actual evidence to realise let's do a lot of backtracking because when you look at your backtrack logs, which is going to be blocked from now on, you're going to ask yourself why we got lower points this year. Then 2024 kicks in. Why? From January to December. Bang. Then when it hits January 2025, you're going to get a reset. Why? Because it's been honest. You've been accurate and you're not confusing anybody. Right? People always have opinions, right? But they have a lot of respect for certain places, which is true, and it can happen with attractions as well. And you're ending up saying, okay, this place doesn't look good, or this place has gone up, but then you got to work out from right from wrong how many reviews are up to date and accurate. Right? You're gonna have to start digging. You can't remove. You gotta remove the uh, the past tense. Get rid of it because it's gonna confuse people's minds a little bit. Right? The higher the amount, right, the more chances that you're gonna get false report. Right? When you do a dialogue like that, going back to 2014 or something like that, or 10, or going back into the 80s or 70s, then it becomes a hazardous problem. Why? Because there's false reviews. Right? Those reviews become invalid because they're too old. Right? You have to get real. Right? People are getting smarter, which I get. Right? You have to come to terms of what has been on what is established here. Right? You have to get it in your mind and realise they falsified a lot of things, right? There's a lot of truth in 1 year, right? That's fine. 1 year is not a bad thing. But when you really look into your mind and really realise what is acceptable and what isn't, right? I'm not going to be going around and say, look, you need to sort this out or you're not going to be on the TripAdvisor anymore or Google or even Facebook. Why? Because you're rigging the system sometimes. You might be saying, oh, we got these amount of reviews, but then you're going to backtrack and realise, oh, we got 1 year out of date, right? Which is true. You can't use it because once you used it once, it's it. It's like a free ticket, but you're not going to go any further. Why? Because it resets every year. Why? Because you have to be honest with the people. You can't be dishonest. If you're dishonest, you're out. You got caught out. You're being logical. You're being fact, and you're telling the truth. When you realise what's going on around here, you're going to end up starting to work out why. Right, let's say the North Norfolk Railway does keep rigging it, right? They will keep rigging it until they get what they want, right? They're so desperate, number one. Number two, they haven't got much fun money-wise, factor-wise, right? The prices are too high, number three. And then number four, they're rigging the system, which they don't even think about. So when you look at their reviews, you're basically looking at all the old tents on top of the new. Right? People look at the new stuff. Right? When it goes like 2024 from January, that's your starting point for this year. Right? TripAdvisor is screwing up because they're doing it from April to April, which is like a year anyway, to a point. But you have to be honest on the bloody stamp. Right? When TripAdvisor says this is a award from 2023 to 2024, did they do it? No. So you know they've been dishonest. Why? Because you're telling them they've got all of these reviews in 2024. The answer is no. Because that's dishonest. Right? Because I've been honest with you to tell you how many amount there is. And I tell you, why they say they got an award for 2024 is wrong. It's a false award. Something you lot are very commonly to know of when it is true, honest, and faithful. And if you're dishonest, then it counteracts it. Why? Mistakes can't even be looked indirectionally and say, look, you got this problem, you got this in the air, you got this problem, and you can't solve it. Why? TripAdvisor will keep doing it if they wanted to, but they're going to look into it now and they're going to work up here now because they've got to work calculatedly through January to 2024 onwards because they get the accuracy, right? Then when it's 2025, it's a reset button, ding ding, right? When it goes to 2026, reset again. Why? To make it fair for others. Right? The reviews change over the years and over time. that no one's picked up on it? I said, you threw all the balls at me, thank you very much, but I'm saving your ass. So wake up. You're not going to win. In any angle, sir. That's right, Thomas, in every angle. So work it out. You're not going to succeed over time because you really got that problem, right? So you need to start prioritizing. Right, right. A lot of you work during the day and night and don't often look on Facebook or Twitter or Google all the time because you're too busy doing your jobs, right? Which I understand. Attractions like the North Norfolk Railway, Whitwell Station, or any other department like that, you need to start waking up and smelling your coffee a bit. Every attraction, everything that is on that review and looking at it, right? You're looking at 2024 on its own, right? There could be more people that got more points in the award, right? You've got to have players on the board, right? When the North Norfolk Railway isn't on the board, right? You're gonna be right saying red flag everywhere because you've got to be very careful, right? Right, when TripAdvisor does it from April to April, that's wrong. Because it's like a school year from September all the way to June to July time. Right, so, you've got to be realistic. You can't lie to bloody get away with it. No offence, but it really is like saying, if you want to work hard, you play it by the rules. Right? You do not play it by demeaning the people up. You're confusing the people, you're confusing yourself because you can't work out from right from wrong, and you're basically laying it on a silver platter to realise why. You can't actually dig and realise how bad it is. Why? You're going to end up somewhere down the line where you're going to screw up. But you got that vital key up there saying he's right. We never thought about getting rid of all our past log information and get rid of it and get the 2024 to stick at the moment, right? You do it year by year. Why do your computers blow up? Because too much information, right? That's why you screw up, because you're ending up screwing yourselves up because there's a bigger problem in play, right? If I was really down on earth on this, my grandfather caught you out on this, my father caught you out on this, and so have I. 3 times we warned you to tell you, you start playing by the rules, you get a fair reward at the end. Right? You're going to get a fair reward, but you have to be honest with the community. If you don't, the community will only backlash at them. I said the community will bugger you off. They will tell you, no, you're dishonest. You've been dishonest with everybody, and everybody should have a fair chance, right, to get a better review at the end, right? That review, right, let's say 2024 as we are in, right? You don't do a backlog track because that's wrong. You know it's wrong, and you know it's classed as rigging, and it's against the law, as we all tell you to. Right? You're going to end up looking into this because you're going to start working around it because it's all true, it's all logic, it's all respect, it's everything, right? You're coming to terms because if you don't, you're going to end up having that problem for the rest of your life, right? You don't want to get in that rigging issue. Get out of it because it's like a virus. So you need to eliminate the virus to try and put it right. You need to be honest with the people, right? Right. Let's say 5-star in. Let's give out a sitting room and sharing them as an example, right? They were a 5-star place, which they are, right? And then you go to other places and you might end up finding out, oh, how many points reviews did you have this year? They don't look into deep detail with you guys. They just go in the building, have their cup of tea and coffee, and then whatever, eat food, drinks, and all that. And then they can criticize really think about this. This can happen on Facebook with people's reviews. Needs to be done fairly, right? A fairness, honesty, and being truthful has been like saying, yes, I totally agree that the North Norfolk Railway screwed up, right? They know they didn't deserve that reward, right? People are congratulating people, and I said, don't even bother because they don't be honest with you, right? When it comes down to you, you're number one, right? You are like even the employees, the volunteers should realise from right from wrong on this, right? When they got working and they're having a drink and they're getting a little bit sober and they feel like, yeah, well, that's a load of BS. I said, no, it isn't a load of BS. Sorry to be pointless, to be honest with you. I said, look, stop BSing and get to the point because in the day, the BS will be your own downfall because you're lying, you're being deceitful. How many of you actually got higher points than the North Norfolk Railway this year? On its own in 2024, how many people actually got higher reviews or higher points this year? Right? You're going to have to start working around it because you're going to have to be honest with the reviews. Right? If the reviews don't add up, the stars won't add up. Right? You've got nearly like as Google does, normally 5 stars or 10 stars, whatever. And then it's the same with TripAdvisor saying, oh, we got 1,000 excellent lately. Well, got me tell them TripAdvisor rigged. Why? Because they lied. Facebook is a little bit more honest because you see the year, right? You're actually dealing with the year, right? You're not dealing with the last year. If you do it last year and a year before that, a year before that, then you're basically rigging yourself. So you're basically screwing up everything you know about yourself. Right? Right? When people have the best honesty of the company or organization or transportation or anything, you ended up saying you need to put yourself first in all prime eyesight. Right? A lot of people will know by using their eyes and ears, which is why we have it everywhere, in every direction, in every angle. So work it out. When people look into this in a very deep way and coming to terms with everything and realise I'm shocked about that because I didn't expect the every attraction is rigging themselves. I said they're only doing it just to get high points. Why? If you do it by year, the other years will be blocked. Why? You're concentrating on one year at a time. Why? Because if you keep rigging yourself, you're going to end up backfiring yourself and you'll be lying to the community by being dishonest. Right? I could go to a lot of things about the North Norfolk Railway as example that have not always been honest with you. Right? So let me explain this in a better way, right? A lot of you have to come to terms with it, right? It's not about what you see, it's what you're getting at the end of the tunnel or anything, right? So when they say it's 4.7, right, that's nearly like 5 stars, but it isn't. Now, if Google did their research, right, as a proper review, right, mine will always be up to date, but I'll always be honest, right? But you have to be realistic, right? That you should do this by year, but you can't do it by month. Let's say you only have to do it by 1 year at a time because every year is different. Some people are bloody cocky or not doing their job correctly on the computers. Right, when you look down and really look down and realise what's right from wrong, you say you got to get the recent stuff in because a lot of it is got to be straightforward. Right? I always point you in the right direction, right? And I'm telling you now, and I really want to be fair, right? There are things in the real world, right, that adds up, right? We all know that North Norfolk Railway is not the only one that's got understanding of knowing how to be honest with the community and be fair with everything, right? I know a lot of you might think, right, something needs to wrap up the sticky bow on this, but this is not about winning or losing. It's about understanding the principles of the actual outcome. Right? Muckleburgh, as example, which is not railway related as such, they going through TripAdvisor. They doing this, they doing that. I said, yeah, but then you got to be damn honest about the people that are reviewing this properly by year. You can't use past tense stuff because in the day you're losing because you've been dishonest with the community by saying, right, it's changed this year, it's not the same star rating, it's not that, and you're being fair with everybody else, right? So when you think that you feel like you constantly feel like what, like I said, not everything is told in truth, right? You have to be very discreet on it. You know what I mean? You cannot override what it's shown in black and white. Right? You need to start to realize, okay, we need to re-strategize, and get that point across to realize, yes, we slipped up. Yes, we all probably have slipped up, but you got to be realistic. If you can't be honest with yourselves, then you're gonna be the reviews will just tell you exactly. But then you realise that your past tense stuff won't count. Why? Because people look at this year's at the moment, not last year or a year before that. That's where all the rigging is causing, right? That rigging will destroy you and it will confuse a hell of a lot of people. And I said it's coming to terms with everything else that's unfolding in front of you. You have to wake up, right? You've got to understand from right from wrong, right? You're going to end up with a lot more problems, right? Let's just say, realistically, I've got connections everywhere and colleagues and friends and family and all that know this stuff. And say, 1 year, right? Just 1 year alone from 2024 on its own, you're going to have the lowest points to begin with. Right? When it gets to December, then it adds up. But then you have to realize, okay, there are people out there in the on behind of all TripAdvisor, Google, and Facebook, and that you're gonna end up feel like you rigged the system too long. Right? You got lowest. Let's say, right, if I've been talking about this year on its own, right, nearly every attraction starts from beginning, from January, right? You're gonna start click, 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 right? The rest of the reviews become invalid because it's safer. Why? Because you've taken that baggage away and realised we can't use that because it's out of date. It's not too pleasant, it's not too recent, it's gone. History, past, poof. Why? Because you're putting everybody on an easy street to be honest. Right? Then you can get honest again. When it goes to 2025 next year, it will reset itself because you're not allowed to use past tense because it's already like been saying, look, every year we go through all of this because they don't add up, right? You're all gonna end up being in a sticky situation. These reviews only determined by year, right? When the whole thing comes together, TripAdvisor will end up slip up anyway because we're doing it from 2023 to 2024. but they're making the reward or award in 2024. That's illegal and it's against the rules. Why? Because you're lying to the community saying we got a high rating this year. Bullshit. Excuse my language, but it's true. Right? You want to be honest with the people out there? You're gonna have to start coming to terms. Because in the day when you look at it, at everything we were discussing for the last three podcasts, I told you it's gonna hit you, and then you're gonna realize, okay, they screwed up. You gotta look to me because you know I'm being honest with you, right? There's a lot of people that know things that are starting to pick up and realize you can't rig the table, you can't rig what it is there, right? But you've got to understand from right from wrong. But I've been trying to tell you this from day one. When everything unfolds in front of you, it really does help your head. So I bet now everybody's probably working it out and realise I'm now putting the North Norfolk Railway back on track. Why? Because I'm the only person that can, not the other way round. Because I'm too really useful to do all the hard work that they're supposed to do, which they can't do. Why? Because they've got that baggage which they want to get rid of. Why? And I'm solving it with one bucket, easy street. Why? Because I know too much and I've got a good brain for it. But the reality factor is that I've got to let you to come to terms that rigging is unacceptable. Right? Let me give you an example, right? Another example, right? You may be going to, let's say, going to a hotel as an example, right? Which is normally a rating hotel, which is normal, right? Every year it's different, right? You're going to end up with that little bit of extra support because you can have food, water, and all of that too, like the North Norfolk Railway for their transport and food and water on top. And you're going to end up saying, okay, we have, every time you review it, you're giving them a fresh one. So by give anyone a fresh one, you're basically saying, there's your token, use it, but don't use the past tense. Why? Because you're being honest. Why? If you don't be honest with the community, the people will backstab you and say, piss off. Why? Because they won't be interested. Because there's a lot of there's too much backlash for you to understand the reason why I kicked off. Why? Because I knew that the rigging was the catch. Right? So you're gonna stop rigging. Right? You're gonna start being honest with people. Right? I'm now put the North Norfolk Railway on a red flag point. Why? Because they've been dishonest with you. They're not being completely honest with you. Right? I don't want any place in the world, in the UK, everything, they won't all add up. Why? Because they're not being fair with. It's like having a big contest, right? You're not a contest of rivalry here. You're a contest of getting the result that the people need, not want. Right? We talk about needs and wants, and I said the needs are more important, right? But you have to be honest with yourself. If you're not honest with yourself, get out of my premises or for the North Railway as an example, because it's dishonest, right? That review they had, right, could be positive from the customer or a negative, but you can't be saying, look, we had all these reviews, boom, 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 but you put the positives first. Why? The positives are more accurate to a point, but you only have to use it for 1 year. That's a shame, isn't it? When you think about it, it's logical up here, but then you got to be honest with yourself, right? I will not be dishonest with anyone, right? You have to be realistic when you go up that station or you going to any place in the UK or the world, whatever. You you you're reviewing it for that year only, right? You might go back the next year and give it a different result. So work it out. If you're not rigging it, You're basically giving them a fresh token to use. Right, so while those tokens are going out every year, right, it's different. Why? Because they have a valid and an invalid date. Ding ding. Why? The year catches you out. Right? So when you look at people and really understand what's unfolding, I said to you, you're going to come to terms with this because you've got to work out the rigging has to stop. Right? You have to be honest with the customers and the community as a whole. You can't say you're the best attraction of the year or best place of the year or anything like that because you have to be honest on the points on the year that you are in, not the other way round and try and gain the points for the past because it won't work. Right? You have to you really it's like saying you're gonna be honest, you're gonna be accurate and you're gonna be straightforward. Right? You're not going backwards, you're going forwards. So when every time you move forward, those tokens that you may have the year before becomes invalid because it has a year date in place. Right, it's like having like I said, right? It's like going on a train, for example, right? You're basically putting yourself and saying, I bought that ticket for that day, right? That's one day, right? And they tell you the price, it tells you the date and the year, that's it, right? If you try to take that ticket on the following year, it won't work. So why do I catch you all out? It's not because I'm not against you. I'm trying to put things right to make you have a fair test, right? It's not about stupidity around here, right? The whole thing you got to be careful of is past tense stuff, right? You got to start realizing that doing this is the proper way forward, right? A lot of people know that they are, let's say, a 5-star rating, right, as a whole, but every year is different. And you have to really put your foot down and say, look, are you going to go forward or are you going to go back on this? Right? You're going to end up realizing from more on this because you have to connect the connections through it, right? You're going to end up realizing he's right, he's right. I totally agree with the user. I totally agree with him because he's honest, and I'm not going to be dishonest with you. You know what I mean? You have to look really, really up to date and realize why, why, why did you do this for so many damn years and not even realize it? People didn't have the brains or the capacity or understanding right from wrong. Some people that don't do certain jobs that you do, like let's say you're not working for Google, TripAdvisor, or Facebook, like as part of the community looks at the most recent all time because it's more up to date, right? They don't look at 2023 or 2022 or going down the line. No, that's rigging the system and going up again when you're lying. You see, you have to be very, very cautious. Right? You're going to end up saying, am I the bad man that everybody claims me to be? No! I'm just bloody damn honest, that's all. You know, if your honesty is not going to help you, the cops will investigate that because they have to make sure everybody has a fair, reviews for that year. You know, they will understand that. I will understand that. I'm not even laughing as much because I know I'm honest. Right? They're gonna realise, oh shit, yeah, well, it's going to go that way because we're moving forward. Right? How do you get out of the rigging systems completely? Right? You have to be honest with yourself to begin with. That's number one. Number two, you have to be honest with your employees and volunteers or anywhere. It doesn't matter. Even the people that work for you in the staff range, right? You got to say no. We didn't do great this year. You have to be saying, look, it's 2024, not bloody 2023 or anything below, because that income's invalid. Why? Because then you lie to yourself if you keep it all up or backlogged. It's not fair on all the others, right? You're gonna start at the bottom and work your way up and understand the logical how to get round this. There's a way of actually stop rigging yourself, right? When you rig, right, Google and Facebook and TripAdvisor will have a warning shot from the user that's doing it, or the person that's got that page up for your business or your attraction, and it will give them a red flag. Why? Because if you use past tense, they will get. This is where a barrier will come up. Why? Because it's safeguarding you, and it's called honesty in one direction. Why? Why? You're gonna have to come to terms about being honest with people is the best way to get around things in a lot of better ways. You can't be dishonest and just think we got all of these reviews, blah, la la la, going down the line. I said no, you don't use past tense, right? So how do you get around it? Right, one, right? You're gonna have to be realistic with yourself. You have to be honest with yourself from within. But you also have to be honest about how you're running that business or running the attraction or Heritage Railway or any place in any part of the globe or the UK. You're going to end up starting to work out right from wrong where they can where you're going to start. Right? Google and TripAdvisor and Facebook are riggers. Right? They know they're in the fault. They know they're in the wrong, right? There's going to be a very clean slate barrier by the time I caught them out by the balls, right? Which I have done, but also caught the North Norfolk Railway first. Why? Because they got the biggest rigger in the world right now. Why? They're not fair with you. They're not honest with you. They're being completely dishonest with you, right? So you need to start working out how many points have they got this year. Right, it's 2024, not bloody damn below that. Excuse my language. Right, when people know they are in the wrong, they know they need to correct a little thing like that, then their heads become a lot clearer in the end. But how do you step it up? Right, you gotta keep. You don't need paper records to say that. Oh, we had 3,000 last year or 4,000 last year. Doesn't add up, right? So you're gonna end up saying, let's cut that crap out because it's bullshit now. It's lying, it's deceiving, like right? A lot of these reviews do not count no more because you've been dishonest. Right? A false award going around like the North Norfolk Railway did is false accusation. Why? A lot of people know rigging is illegal. Right? Even for competition, you have to be honest with yourself. If you can't be honest, don't be on that premises or any premises, right? Or any attraction or any department because you have to be honest, right? A lot of you have probably put a lot of effort to gain all those reviews for 1 year, like last year, for example, and you have to realize, okay, it's going to change this year. Why? Because there's a limitation on what is not right for the system itself is flawed, right? You've got to ask yourself that biggest question. You're coming to terms with everything, right? You've got to get it in your head. There's a reason why you have to have a reset button every year, right? TripAdvisor will always rig. Why? Because they're very deterministic to make sure everybody gets a fair chance or trial run here. Right? I'm not going to put up with that BS going all around and saying how you got that high review reward. And they will say, oh, we got 2023 on the list as well. I said, no more of that. Why? Because I caught them. Right? The North Norfolk Railway, as example, is a prime example why they did so bad. Right? You have to realise, cut the BS, get to the point. Right? You want to get to that point and get the actual truth correctly. Start fresh every year. Don't BS and tell people you got that award, let's say 2024, when you got half the points in 2023, which they are invalid by now, so it makes them have less this year because it's accurate and it's truth. Right? People don't want liars. They want more honesty. They want more truth. They want more logic. They got that logic and they got their understanding. You know about the YouTube stuff that we all talk about sometimes, right? People with the bloody YouTube department. Why? Because if you look at YouTube as example, right, there's a lot of people that are clever to rig their algorithm, right, which makes people that view your videos accurately, right? In the day, there's a rig in that, which has been sorted by YouTube by itself, right? So now they're making you have a fair subscribers, actual people that view your videos, etc. That's gonna be accuracy, right? There's a lot of things that you haven't actually thought about when you do these things in real life and accuracy. Right? When you bloody do a test in school, right? Because they make it fair for all students and pupils in the schools to do a fair test, right? Right, this is why schools have to learn, right? They always tend, even colleges, they always do it. You have to be on your own to do the test. So you can't cheat or lie or deceit, right? There are things in my timeline that actually fit the bill for everything that I'm saying. I said I've done a lot of safeguarding for a lot of people, which I will not name. But there are things at the North Norfolk Railway they will screw up even more and more because they won't realise what. That's what they're going to do. They're going to drop draw because they don't know what to do. Right? So when you look at the railway or any attraction or Pleasurwood Hills or anything like that, you're ending up with a little thing on the end saying you got this problem. Right? You want to be honest with the community. You have to start at the bottom of the chain and build up again for that year. For 1 year, that's all it's going to take. Then it resets. Why? Because it's the better. It makes everybody at ease, knowing they haven't got a lot of BS behind them. You know, so you can't just get away with it, right? You know, it can happen in schools, it happens in colleges, it happens in essays, it happens in everything, and then you can't get the decent people around you because you're not being honest, you're not being truthful. People are like, it's like schools, colleges, and all of that, and everybody will work out why. You know, people have good values, honesty, trust, and respect, etc., etc. And you want me to actually tell you, I'm not telling you how to run your life or run your business, or even run the Heritage Railway line. I said, look, in every day, when you look at it properly, you bloody drop draw. Why? Because that makes sense in your head. It feels like the whole baggage you got in your head is gone. Why? Because I told you that I just basically said, look, you're coming to terms with everything, but at the same time, you're basically coming to terms with the truth. Right? You're going to be honest. If you're not going to be honest, don't bloody bothering opening up until you got that honesty in check. Why? You got to be honest with yourself. It's 2024, right? People do not give a damn until they get their award. And I said, do you want a good honesty? I said, the honesty will always be the best policy. But at the same time, you got to be honest with yourself. Why, you gotta be realistic. Why, when I knew about what you were all up to, I said to you, rigging is not safe. It's like saying if you really want to get those reviews back, it will come back in a different direction. Why? There's 5 stars in everything in there. Right? If you work it all out in your head, it's all coming clear, right? You need to start realizing in every angle there's always a truth to all of it in every angle, and I'm not gonna be BSing on it, right? So when you look into the mirror every morning and realize, is my business going to be great this year? Wait till the end of the year and then look at the reviews before it kicks off. Why? Because when you do it from January to December, you get a better result. Why? Because that's uniquely designed for that year. Why? Every award that you get from Facebook, Twitter, Facebook, TripAdvisor, and Google, you've got the major leak that they all been rigged. Right? There's a lot of truth to most of this year, which I totally agree with. Right? But last year, or the year before that, or the year before that, becomes invalid because you're not being honest. So the stars that you got in general will look like, oh, they got this and they got this and they got this and they got this. No, they have not this year. Why? Because you want to be honest. You want to get the reward properly by the book. You have to let the year play out. Why? Because I told you already from the beginning, right, that you have to do it by year. You can't just get an award in 2024 when you're in 2025. It's wrong, right? You have to don't show that off to the public. You show it to yourself and keep it in a folder. Why? It's safeguarding you. It's not about you getting that award that for that particular year, but then you got the honesty on the top. That will then TripAdvisor might come up with the idea and say he's white. Why? Because you know I'm white. Why? Google will do the same thing and re-correct their mistake. Why? Like I said, there's a lot of things you're not fully seeing until it hits you. Right? Facebook might do the same next because they realise, shit, he's worked that out and he's really clever to know that. I said, look, I know a lot of things that you don't, and it helps you as it helps me. But at the same time, I don't want to give a place like North Norfolk Railway as example a proper review because I always be honest with you. Right? I'm not going to bullshit with them because I haven't got time for it and I don't like the dishonesty and being distrustful on top of that and untrustworthiness. Why? Because they've been lying, deceitful, and rigging and everything else, and you had all of that shit down there right to the top. Why? Because they've been lying to you. Right? They may be the best of attraction long time ago, but you can't use what you haven't gained this year. This is why they rigged the system up. So they tell you one thing to the other. So when you look at it, you're gonna. A lot of people already knew about this from day one. When you review it, it makes you see sense. It makes you see the logic and the respect that we're supposed to get, but the North Norfolk Railway is not getting it because they've been dishonest with you. Right? There's a lot of people out there that deserve that award as much as they do, but they haven't been honest with you. I feel that they got no respect for themselves. Right? When you go up there, it looks like a pile of trash on the floor. Right? They don't give a damn about you. Right? When it all goes in black and white and silver platter, you're ending up with the North Norfolk Railway screwed up, or the North Western Railway Company. Why? Because they screwed you up. When time will come, it will eventually hit them. They will realise how much screwed up they are. Why? Because they took out me for number one, for being dishonest about something that I'm not. Two, setting people up. And thirdly, being dishonest with the community, saying we're the best attraction of the year when they're not. Why? I know that. You starting to know that. And if you think I don't concentrate on this stuff, I do. For obvious reasons, and it's like saying to you, you've been warned. Right? I'm not being discriminative. I'm being honest, right? There's other attractions out there and other places that deserve the award the best way they can. But you have to be honest with year to year. When you know that you got a good reward for 2024, hide it. Don't show it because that's just saying right. Oh, we're in 2024. I said, where did you crack up the points? Something has to click. But when I realised they rigged it, I said, you lying. Lying, deceitful, and being dishonest is three things I'm not tolerated to have in my front of my face. Right? When I know there's three things that are more principle of understanding, I said, be honest. Right? You've got to be damn honest. Regardless if this is becoming a right job for me to deal with you guys. I said Facebook will lie. TripAdvisor will lie. And then you have Google reviews that will lie. But it's not the review, it's the year. Because they're not being honest with the actual counts of the reviews. But you may not understand the full picture yet until it opens your eyes and realise, yeah, the North Norfolk Railway did get less this year. Shit. Yeah, right. I'm going to be honest with that because I won't lie. I'm too honest to help people out. But there's a lot of people that won't take no for an answer. Why? Markaborough, right, in Rayborn, the War Collection, if you like to call it correctly, right, had a lot of respect, but now they got to backtrack and stop using the backlogging and stop rigging their department. Why? Because I'm trying to stop everything in Norfolk, Suffolk, and the rest of the UK to stop rigging. Why? Because if you don't get the actual result. Why? Because by rigging the situation, you're actually making the problem worse than what it looks for. I said, if you want the honesty, the best policy will come right back in your face. Why? Because the honesty has always been honest, right? You have to be honest with yourself, right? When TripAdvisor gives you an award for this year, they should have classed it for last year because there's more points than that, but you can't use it because it's been invalid and blocked off. Why? Because you're using past tense reviews to gain the higher mark for this year. It doesn't work like that. Why? When it comes to April, it doesn't add up. Why? A lot of things in this world you really need or want, and it's a more of a want. And when it comes to the actual people that do need it, then it will get the green light. You know, you can't go red flag, green flag, whatever, and you ended up saying, yep, approved. The reason I know these things is because I look up your reviews to safeguard you. Why? Every review that you get, I look at the recent, the most yet during this year, not last year, because I blocked that out. Why? Because it makes it more sensible on a longer note. But when people realise they are screwing themselves up just for just to be on the top dog record or a top list, if you will, and you're ending up coming back and saying why? Why? Why did I say to you from the beginning from this that something wasn't right for you and you're not being honest with yourself? Because a lot of the people that have businesses, transport, or accommodation, etc., they look at their recent reviews. They don't look at past tense. If they look at the past tense and they get a certificate that says 2024, you got something wrong there, right? Because that's dishonesty from TripAdvisor, right? With Facebook, right? I know from right from wrong. I know exactly what is true and right. Why it's always, when you look at people today, do you feel that you gained what you want? Coming to terms with the truth, the logic, and the respect that I'm giving you. And I know it sounds harsh because of my mouth and all of that, and because you don't realise it, I said, look, I look into these stuff. If you, like, people that do this, like I did, but not out blurted it out to the world because we have to now, because a lot of attractions, a lot of places deserve the award, but they have to be honest with the year, right? You can't just go, why they got it this year in 2024. You can't be, you have to be optimistic because when it all goes in your favor, it comes out naturally, right? Coming to terms with everything you know and what messed up there is, right? People are gonna start realizing we've been too popular, or we've been popular, or this attraction has been popular too long, and then people will start wondering why. Because when they always look at the recent reviews, they always know exactly where they stand, right? People don't backlog. Right, backlogging is like rigging. It's like a really bad, simple stuff. We keep getting back to the rigging. Why? The rigging the system is not fair to others. Right? You're gonna have to come up to terms of logic and say why. You want the honesty. You want me to be honest with people. I said, look, we're all going through year by year and making sure that the past tense doesn't get used and you stick with the 2024 or 2025 when it gets to there. And then you will stop looking at 2024 because it'll be blocked off. Why? Because then you're being honest. I'm going to be watching and I'll be learning and I will adapt so damn quick. I will tell you where everything fits into place and how reliable and the ratings are and everything else. I tell you now, North Norfolk Railway as an attraction or a heritage railway as it is, they didn't deserve that award, to be honest. You've got to be straight for the horse's mouth and say, look, this is truth, this is no lie. If you don't like it, like I would say most of the time, but in this case, I'm being diplomatic with you. Why? Because you need that support to understand rigging is unacceptable. Doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, or what business or what you do as as a heritage railway or anything or any attraction. Why? Because you have to start year by year. Why? Because every year that goes by, that gets locked up. Doesn't get used. So what does? What happens to the rigging system? It gets broken down and gets closed off. Why? Because then people can be honest. Right? A lot of people would say, oh, this is the best attraction of the year. So let me tell you something. The best honesty is the best policy. The only other reason I say these things is because I'm being honest with you. Right? You have to come to terms. You have to get logical and the fact that you're not going to gain the top 5-star rating because you're not. You're going to have to start at the bottom every year again. Why? Because it's making it fair for everyone. When you've been honest with them in the past, Yes, I know your honesty could be a top grade, but when it actually goes down on reviews, you do not use past tense reviews to keep topping up. I said if you do it, the past reviews don't count because it's like blocking. It's like saying if you want to be honest, right, you have to take what is given to you on a plate. You have to be honest on everything else. There's so much you can learn from me, as well as me doing my job that I was meant to be doing, and then everybody's proud of me. Why? Because they said you are better off respected. Right? That's me. But for you guys, you've got a lot to learn. And I know it's hard, but you've got to be like realistic on how the system gets rigged. When the rigged, if you know your system has been rigged, or you have too many reviews that don't add up with your recent ones or don't add up, don't use them because that's when TripAdvisor, Facebook, and Google are messing up. And then you're ending up with not most recent or most newest, as they say, and then you're ending up with the wrong collusion of the right answer in the end. It's like saying, okay, how many good reviews have I got this year? Just for 2024 alone, right? The North Norfolk Railway on TripAdvisor had 24, right? That's been honest, right? And then on Facebook, it's 4. Why? Because people use their heads and worked out the calculations, right? So when it goes to the other reviews, they don't count. Too old, too obsolete. Why? It's more honest to get it up and running that way. So the system of knowing how many reviews did you have this year or last year, well, last year won't count. Why? Because it doesn't get you forward. It's not helping you move forward. Right? Every time you move forward every year, the other reviews don't count after that. Because your 2024 will be obsolete and then it'll be 2025 starting point. You do not go through April to April because that's not fair. Because that's them rigging the whole bloody system, even that. Right? Some people start in February and then finish in December or whatever, and then they end up reopening up again in February. Or some people do it 7 days a week, 5 days a week, or 6 days a week, and they end up calculating, why, okay, they open this time of the year, they do this and they do that, bang. Right? When you look at your reviews throughout the whole year, the thing about this is that if you want respect and you want damn honesty, let's take the North Norfolk Railway as a prime example. They are dishonest. They're not being upfront with you. They put the balls all back in my court. I thrown it back in their court, and I told them you're coin court out because they've been dishonest with you. Right? I don't accept dishonesty, but they have to be honest on the points or the reviews they get for 1 year, which is true. But like I stated, but you've got a lot of attractions up there that are trying to be damn bloody honest. But with the rigging system in play, it makes it unfair for everybody. Right? A lot of past tense reviews is what's confused Facebook, TripAdvisor, and Google for that reason. Because the rigging system is in check. Why? Because if you take the rigging out of the way, what do you get? An honest report for 1 year. And that's not been dishonest. That's been straightforward with you. If you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. If you can't accept what you got on you or what you got on the terms of logic, you've got to be realistic. You know, one day you're going to look back at yourself and realize, yes, we shit ourselves. Right? Because that's what's happened. So when people come to you, don't discriminate them. Don't pee them off. Don't do anything because in the day the bad reputation's already gone on North Norfolk Railway. As example, why? Because they've been dishonest with you. Right? I know that. You should know that. Right? But realistically, they do not deserve the award because the points get resetted every year. Because it's been honest with yourself, and then when people want something bad enough, they will realise what is at stake. You know, you can't just jump, and realise that it's going to be okay for other people. I said no. So, in the day, I'm catching people out. Not by not by fault, but you've got to get it in your head. It's been logical in the end. You know, you're not gonna really understand what what it could tell from right from wrong. You know, if you did this on a regular basis and look at your reviews for this year, you'll get a better result because you're getting rid of past tense, right? You need to start thinking, how can we be 5 star this year as example, and then turning out to be a 3 star or a 2 star or a 1 star. You have to get realistic because there's certain things that are true to a T, right? There's a lot of things about this that you can't see with your own eyes and ears because you're not always there on the premises, as example, or not in the restaurant eating food or water to understand. If the food wasn't good, it would be crap. Excuse my language, but it's true. Then you don't rate it. You basically just say no. Discrimination there. You know, you got to be honest with the people, but you also have to do it year by year. When it goes by year, people will block the other years out because you're making it fair on everybody else. And if you want the honesty, my best opinion to you, check your reviews always by the year that you are in, not by the other way round. Because then you'll be classing as rigging and then you'll end up losing. Because you're losing respect because you're not putting yourself back on track, getting yourself straightened, get your I want you to realise you may got this point at this moment to realise why. Why is it hitting you now harder? Why? Because people got to understand this is realistic. This is not a game you can play around with because you're messing with your business, your attraction, or heritage railway. Doesn't matter. Or anything that's heritage. But then you got to work out, okay, we've got restaurants as well, we've got hotels and all of that. You got to realise every year it's different. You know, it's like each day is a special day, but you've got to be realistic on the actual points. You know, if the documentary was done on Facebook, Twitter, or any of the like, you're gonna end up realizing who's in the right on this. You know, you're gonna come into terms with everything. Right? You're gonna start waking up. You're gonna smell that coffee. Right? And then people will say, no, we're not going to this attraction because they've been dishonest. Right? You're gonna say that because you're gonna have to be honest with them. Right? You're not going to go up there and travel to wherever you want to go. You're going to be realistically look at the year. Why? It's your key way out. Why? Because you've been honest with the year, not with the way it's been saying. If I had an award for the North Norfolk Railway for me for 2024, I'd be honest that we got the lowest points this year, so we won't deserve the award. Right? That's been honest. But the management would be honest with you. They'd be plain dishonest with you, and they will just say, right, screw you, poof. Right, that's them. Right? So I'm trying to be honest with you because the truth is there in black and white. Right? When you look at this and realize how many attractions actually been more honest than dishonest in 1 year. You know, we are already in a midsummer for this, and people are not picked up on it. Like it's like say hiding it away. Shame on you. Me revealing it, that's number two. Why? Because there's only two people involved. Duck knows about this. Myself knows about this. Why? Because we always head on schedule, but we always on time. Why? When it all comes true, you realise that all the attractions, everything, are going to have a reset button for this year. But it doesn't happen this year because now they've got a block 2023 or below out. Why? Because every year will be so much different. Why? Because people get a better result. If you want a better result in the end of the day, you're going to have to start working it all out in your head and realize he's right. You know, it's all there in black and white. And what Facebook and TripAdvisor and Google did do about it, they've done nothing. Why? Because they're lazy. Anyway, in every angle, you have to be diplomatic on this because you have to come to a solution to say, look, you can't have all of these reviews on your review page or your business page or attraction page or hotel and all that. You have to stop rigging because you have to be honest. And if you can't be honest, then there's no point of actually getting an award this year. You know, you've got to be honest somewhere down the line because I'll be monitoring to safeguard everybody. Thank you very much. In every angle.